A cool breeze began to blow through the valley outside of Telluride, Colorado, as my friends and I unloaded the truck parked in the dirt driveway. We had recently started renting an old mine house that was built in the early 1900s. Much of the house had been renovated over the years, but there was still something of what the house used to be like. You could see the exterior of the house was painted bright yellow and adorned with a blood red door. The courtyard was full of lush green grass, minus a few brown stains covering the ground. In the corner of the garden there was a dilapidated pergola filled to the brim with landscaping materials. I was standing facing the house, admiring the strange ambience that was spreading, when I felt something hit my back, and I turned around. My brother William was standing behind me with the box under his right arm. He said, "Let's pick up the pace we haven't had all day," I replied with a little annoyance masked in his voice. Yes, and started walking towards the back of the truck. My other two friends, Elijah and Leon, were in the process of stacking the boxes onto a carrier. "Hey, do take this to my room," as Elijah handed me a large box. One placed it back in my arms and gripped it so I could hear the tinkling of glass inside and the sound of a loud voice. "A familiar smell starts to leak out. Hey man, be careful." Elisha snapped. "If you ever want to smoke again, I highly recommend you take it one step at a time, champ. Maybe if you didn't throw everything in one box without bubble wrap, then you wouldn't have a problem with something breaking." Elijah, Leon reply he gave. Elijah's eyes widened as if he had just unlocked the secrets of the universe. I laughed. I turned around and walked towards the house. The floorboards creaked as I stepped on the crooked living room floor. On the way to Elijah's bedroom, I explored the area around the old rustic house. Only 2 interior rooms in the entire house had been renovated. One of them, the kitchen with marble countertop and new appliances. The other was my room. I was the one who found the house on the market, so I had the opportunity to choose which room I wanted to make my own, respectively, while the other rooms were the same as they had been since the early 1900s, with dreary wooden floorboards and old paint. "Man, what's going on, William?" I shouted from upstairs. I quickly climbed the narrow staircase and found my brother in his room. I went inside. I found what looked like a big lump under the wooden floorboards. It almost looked like the giant door was buried in the middle of the room. "I told you it was an old house. Does everything change over time?" I said, trying to hold back my snicker. "Yeah, I get it, but you didn't tell me I'd have to maneuver around a speed bump." He pulled back. I sighed deeply and turned to him. "Okay, look, buddy, we're only here for a year. You've got plenty of room to put your bed. That's why you can't sleep on the floor." Inclined, William turned to the floor dejectedly. "This is easy for you. You're not trapped between rolling stones and sticky fingers." After carrying everything home, we all left our beers on the sofa and started our conversation. And Ray Elijah had already started smoking, and the room was starting to fill with a strong smell. "So are we going to do some ghost hunting tonight, guys?" Elijah said, handing the joint to Leon. "Oh, come on, actually don't believe it. Believe me, this is nonsense," Leon replied while rolling his eyes. "The guy blew his brains out on the front porch in the 1930s. I'd be surprised if there wasn't a ghost wandering the halls. I mean, how do you think we did it? What a killer deal on the rent," he said as William raised his arms and started imitating ghost noses. "Shut up, this is all bullshit. You watch too much Ghost Hunters." "So," I replied, "but I still need to go to bed. Get up early to do some cleaning. Good night, guys." I stood up and walked towards my room. In all reality, I was a little uneasy about what was going on in this house. I've always been pretty agnostic about my beliefs about ghosts or spirits, but I've never witnessed anything. Kira, it was very cheap for an entire house, and I wanted to save some money for a trip out of the country. I pushed the fact that someone had taken their life. To the back of my mind, I wish everything had gone well. I walked into my room and got under my sheets and enjoyed the warmth of my bed. It had been a long day, and I didn't move. My body was aching from all the work. I grabbed my phone and searched for rain and thunder YouTube video to help me sleep, and then I fell into comfortable darkness for about 15 minutes. In the middle of the night, my eyes suddenly opened. Moonlight poured in through my window and bathed my room in a soothing light. While the wind continued to blow outside, I could hear creaking sounds from the house. I tried to sit up but found my place. My efforts were futile. Sleep paralysis was a common occurrence in my life at least once a month due to stress and little help from my antidepressants. At this point, I was almost used to it. I could hear a faint scratching noise coming from inside my room. I braced myself for the sound and the usual dark figures standing in the corner, my eyes darting left to right, trying to figure out where the sound was coming from. Then I started hearing bouncing noises as if someone or something was moving around. A feeling of coldness washed over my body. I began to sweat profusely. My sheets got wet. The flailing stopped, but was replaced by a crack that looked like broken bone. From my peripheral vision, I could see long, needle-like limbs protruding from my closet, each one moving slowly against the wall, as if they were searching for something. They knocked, and then through the closet door I see a large, onion-shaped black mass begin to reveal itself, covered in tiny hairs and twitching. When the creature finally revealed itself, there was almost always a loud groan echoing. There was a spider-like creature on my wall. I say spider-like because its head was replaced by it was because it had taken a human head. Its eyes were blackened, freed from the shadows of the moonlight, and its lower jaw had been removed, revealing a stained tongue that was leaking saliva. It was almost the size of a twin bed, and it stared at me for what seemed like hours. My heart was pounding. I was begging my body to move, but no, it was in vain. I was stuck there in suspended torment. I tried to scream, but I couldn't make a sound. All I could do was watch the creature on my wall, getting closer and closer. Suddenly, it jumped up to the ceiling right above me and started scratching with its two front sides legs as if it were digging a tunnel. Then it started to sink into the wall, as if the wall had turned into a swamp. First the belly, then the legs. In the end, all that was left was its shattered head staring at me. I could hear that cold, dead eyes groan, piercing my soul, and I could feel drips of saliva hitting my torso. The creature then let out an inhuman roar and disappeared into my ceiling. My body was finally released, and as I did so, I jumped out of bed screaming. The house became even more terrified, screaming coming from upstairs. Apparently seeing something. I wasn't the only one, and unfortunately, it wouldn't be the last time either. Thank you for watching the video to the end. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.